The opening Gambits at Refinery 42 have begun. The Red Corsairs, Havocs have dropped in with the Chaos Lord behind them. Moving on. Khorne Berserkers have disembarked from a Rhino that was previously behind them, which is also now shot off to cut off the Tallarn advance, or the Tallarn convoy. Red Corsair soldiers as well moving off, punching out in front of the convoy to try and lock them off and make sure they have no room to maneuver out of this trap. Up over here we've got another squad of Red Corsairs. They've also come up to try and block any escape routes out of this ambush. Chaos Lord Lahorak, he is inside the Rhino waiting his gambits until he sees what the rest of the Tallarn Desert Raiders can do. Chaos Vindicator has also moved up with infantry support from the cultists, and they're going to lay down some pretty devastating firepower in the Chaos Space Marine shooting phase. And we'll see what happens to the poor souls of the Tallarn Desert Raiders. End of the Red Corsair shooting phase. Chaos Lord Lahorak is not happy with how this is going so far. Moving through the Talon convoy lines, only one sentinel has fallen, and that was thanks to the Havoc squad here. So they managed to pump in quite a few shots into the Talon lines and managed to kill the sentinel. The rest of the shooting from the Red Corsairs managed to not do too much. The heavy bolters doing one wound on the sentinel and sweeping across here. The Chaos Raptors unable to do any damage to the Leman Russ battle tank. We've got the assault phase coming up next for the Red Corsairs. Will they be able to do any damage, or will this be it and the start of their doom? Ending out the Red Corsairs combat phase, not very successful at all. The Khorne Berserkers failed the charge into the Rough Riders. So no wounds, nothing done there. The Havocs have also missed their mark, trying to charge into the Leman Russ battle tank. Moving along, the Rhinos double teamed the Sentinel and managed to cause one wound, but not enough to critically damage the last surviving Sentinel. So now we're coming up to the Tallarn Desert Raiders, and what they're going to do in reaction to this Red Corsair ambush.
Righto, Astra Militarum turn 1. Major Dahals realise this ambush has taken place by these brutal Red Corsairs. So as you can see, they've surrounded the entire convoy with their evil vehicles and so forth. So he's given the order to break formation. So they've now started panicking. A couple of the vehicles, like the Leman Russes, have realised what their targets are, and they're sort of inbound with these nasty raptors over here. The Rough Riders, taking a few casualties, have sort of turned around and saw the Khorne Berserkers in their sights. So with pure terror, they've come charging towards the Berserkers, hoping to take a few of them out defiantly and valiantly. Fingers crossed, we'll see what the Astra Militarum doing this time. Righto, so after a successful turn 1 of shooting, Major Dahal points all his guns at the poor, or what's left of the Raptors, which is, hang on, nothing. As you can see, they've been totally annihilated by the Leman Russ over here. So the devastating firepower of the battle cannons pulverised the squad. A couple more shots got pounded into some of the Rhinos, which they successfully saved. The Vanquisher cannon over here fired its massive shell at the Lord's Rhino. Unfortunately, the Steel Shack over here deflected the shot and pulverised the poor cultist somewhere on the battlefield. So totally destroyed. So we're now coming up to the charge phase. So as you can see, these defiant Rough Riders are about to charge into these age-old veteran Berserkers to get into combat. See what happens. After a brutal charge into combat, the poor Astra Militarum Rough Riders have been totally annihilated by these 10,000-year-old veterans of Khorne Berserkers. The combat didn't go too well for the poor Rough Riders, so they charged in valiantly, but died horribly. They did 2 wounds, wiped out 2 Berserkers, End result, they wiped out the whole squad. So, blood for the blood god, eh? Awesome.
Red Corsairs movement phase, and Leigh has disembarked from his rhino, needing to lead the men from the front to show them exactly how it's done, exactly how the Red Corsairs work. Strike at the heart of the enemy and kill them dead. Moving out with him as well as his chosen unit, and they're heavily equipped to deal with everything around them. With melter guns, power fists and power swords, they're going to start carving their way through the Tallarn Desert Raiders. Also moving out, one Chaos Space Marine squad, the second Chaos Space Marine squad, and the Khorne Berserkers moving their way forward, ready to smash this Astra Militarum convoy to absolute pieces. So it's going to be an interesting one coming up next. What is going to happen to this poor convoy? Is it going to escape, or is it going to fall foul of the Red Corsairs? Leigh is smiling. After disembarking from the Rhino, all the Red Corsairs concentrating their firepower into the convoy resulted in one Chimera destroyed, and that was Major Dahorik's Chimera, utterly obliterated. A Vindicator shell finishing it off. Havoc's also stripping wounds off the Chimera that was just trailing behind, and is leaving it with one wound left. The Red Corsairs are looking to be in a very strong position at the end of their shooting phase. What will happen in their assault phase? Will Major Dahorik make it out of this? Probably not. Probably not. The Chaos Lord Leigh is staring at Major Dahal. The Chimera that he was traveling in is being destroyed. All the firepower from the Havocs, the Vindicator, finally knocking away its last wounds, leaving the commander of the Astra Militarum forces, the Tallarn Desert Raiders, without his transport to make it out of this battlefield alive. The Chimera trailing behind as well has also suffered damage, only on one wound left. And we are poised, ready for the assault phase. We're going to see what happens to this poor convoy of the Tallarn Desert Raiders, but it is not looking good for them. And the fight phase ended with Major Dahal being captured by Leigh. So what does this mean? Why did the Red Corsairs want to capture the Major so badly? As we come across as well, we see that the rest of his command squad has been killed. In close combat as well, the other Chimera was knocked out with a power fist from the Chaos Champion. And over here as well, the Red Corsair Khorne Berserkers managed to knock off a couple of wounds onto this Chimera. What the army wants to do is try and push its way forward through the Red Corsair lines and out towards the exit point up across the right of the battlefield. Will they do it? Will Major Dahal be rescued? Find out in the next turn.
Turn 2, Astra Militarum. Chaos on the battlefield. Major Dahal has been captured by the evil Chaos Lord, being dragged away for interrogation for their evil, sinister deeds. During this turn, the Guard forces, they've ranked up ready to take on the onslaught of the Berserkers and the Chaos Marines over here. Command Squad Rhino number 1 is raced off, trying to get to the objective point, so just racing away into the distance over there. The heavy big guns of the Leman Russers have taken aim at the squads of Chaos Marines in their way, ready to fire, and the Hydra tanks right at the back here start to aim their giant quad cannons to see what they can pick off in this turn. What will happen? Find out very shortly. Oh, and last but not least, Chimera over here has just smashed its way through the building, trying to clear the way for the other tanks to get through. Stay tuned, more coming up. Astra Militarum shooting phase turn 2. So, not a very successful shooting phase from Major Dahal's men. Unfortunately, they've reaped vengeance on the what was remaining Berserker squad here. So as you can see, they've been totally annihilated. The Defiant Guardsmen over here have let rip with their las guns, calling first rank fire, second rank fire on these Chaos Marines as well, so they've wiped out a few of them. Moving along, The Chimera over here that's breaking its way out of the convoy has knocked out a few of these cultists as well. So, bit of fire, not as much as we wanted, but still not bad at all. Moving on to close combat. So the next close combat coming up. I'll just shut up. Astra Militarum, turn 2 close combat. So the Defiant Guardsmen charge into combat. 2 of them get pulverized by plasma guns, but they reap vengeance on these Chaos Marines and take out 4 in the process after a battle shock test. So the Defiant Guardsmen stay around after rolling a 1 on their battle shock test, whereas the poor Chaos Marines roll a 6. So combat now continues in this little pool of death.
Okay, to start the Red Corsairs movement phase, Captain, or I should say Chaos Lord Lahoric, used to be captain in the Astral Claws, but that was hundreds and hundreds of years ago, has taken his quarry, Major Dahal, taken him on board his Chaos Rhino, and moved it up with the support of 2 other Rhinos to block in the Chimera, so no escape there. Up over here, the Vindicator has just turned its sights on the Chimera that wishes to escape. And previous as well, Battle Shock phase, only 1 Chaos Cultist left. Defiant, Defiant, Defiant. Moving up, we've also got the Chaos Marines ready to lay some melter gun fire into these poor bastards here. So what's going to happen? Lots to happen in this turn. Will the Red Corsairs be able to hold on and start to take out these Tallarn Desert Raiders, or they finally just rev their engines and get out of this battlefield? Oh, the humanity, the humanity. The Red Corsair Havocs with their autocannons laid low the Chimera that was trying to escape, going up in an absolute hail of smoke and debris. From that, 2 of the Tallarn Desert Raiders died. However, upon disembarking, the Red Corsairs with the bolters opened up and slew another 5. So this unit has suffered terrible, terrible casualties. Over here as well, the 2 melter guns tried to have a crack at the tanks and did absolutely nothing. Moving up here as well, nothing else was able to shoot. So we're going to see how the rest of the Red Corsair assault phase goes. And in the Red Corsair combat phase, there are no more Tallarn Desert Raiders. So the convoy has been absolutely obliterated. So we'll be going into the turn 3 of the Tallarn Desert Raiders next. They do have their heavy tanks left though, most of them unscathed. So will they be able to start shooting and pushing their way through, doing damage to the Red Corsairs? I don't know if we can get them all the way to the exit, however. So alas, we will see what happens in the next turn.
Turn 3 Astra Militarum. Now they've realised that things are looking bad, they're starting to push down on that accelerator pedal and making us scream up the board. So the Leman Rusters are advancing forward. The Chimera limping away, only on like 2 or 3 wounds left to go. He's going to be doing a valiant charge into these Chaos Marines, trying to hold out. The Vanquisher tank here has got its sights set on the Vindicator up the field. And the Hydras are going to be reaping vengeance with their Hydra cannons on the autocannon Havocs on the board up there, and I'm going to do that. Astra Militarum shooting turn number 3. So the Defiant Hydra cannons totally obliterated the Havoc squad on the mound up here, or building, whatever you want to call it. So they're totally destroyed. The poor cultist gets away very luckily from the poor grenade launcher guy running towards the objective. So he lives. Moving on. The Vanquisher cannon failed to destroy the Vindicator, sadly enough. Alas. And the multi-laser on the Chimera popped 1 Chaos Marine in this combat as well. What will happen in this turn in close combat? We'll find out. Won't be very good, but we must hold this unit up to make a bit of a breakaway. Fingers crossed. Okay, Astra Militarum close combat, turn number 3. Chimera charged in, did not do much. The Chaos Marines struck back and took another wound off the Chimera tank there. So the Chimera fights on for another turn. Will it survive? We shall find out.
Red Corsairs turn 4 movement phase. So we had the squad that was stuck in combat with the Chimera fall back and move into a Rhino. So they're going to be using that to start to escape and then redeploy later on. And we also had the lone cultist move up, ready to get into combat with the guardsmen. And things are looking dire now for the Red Corsairs. Can they hold out? Can they make sure that these vehicles do not move off and pass the information on of their secretive raid? We'll find out. Red Corsair shooting phase, turn 4. So the Red Corsair Havocs managed to throw their weight behind the shooting and kill the Chimera. So the squad had to disembark. No exploding result, but good to go from there. No other shooting happened this turn other than the cultists who utterly failed to kill the remaining guardsmen. So we'll see if they get into combat with each other, and one of them will maybe come out victorious. We'll see. He is victorious. The cultist champion just strode up and slew the remaining guardsmen from that squad. Looks like now it's going to be a real tough time for any of the Tallarn Desert Raiders to actually get to the board edge. All this ground they have to cover, next to impossible now. So we wish the Tallarn Desert Raiders good luck in their turn 4.
Righto, Astra Militarum turn 4. The tank crew have just said, screw it, we're going to get out of here. So they've just floored the pedal to the ground, or to the floor of their vehicles, and have moved up the battlefield. The poor unfortunate guard squad over here is doomed. They tried to advance, they rolled a 1. First target priority is this damn cultist. He's going down. And the Vanquisher, fingers crossed we can wound it a bit more and get through this. We can break through and get some points. Let's see what happens. Nice. Astra Militarum shooting turn number 4. So it's been a bit of a successful turn this turn. The Hydras have been pounding their fire away into these poor Havocs. As you can see, there is now only 2 of these poor sods left. The Vindicator's been punished this turn by the 3 Leman Russes, the Eradicator tank, the Leman Russ, and the Vanquisher as well. So they've just been pouring fire into that as well. This turn now, can we charge this poor cultist in the open and make some ground? Time will tell. Okay, Astra Militarum, close combat phase number 4. The Eradicator tank decides to try and charge the Vanquisher, or the Vindicator. Unfortunately, I needed an 11 or better. What did I roll? 8. Boo-boo. However, this Leman Russ over here charged into the poor cultist and did absolutely nothing. The cultist got his shotgun up and just scratched the paintwork for this turn as well. Can this tank make it off the board? Time will tell.
And the turns are happening quicker and quicker and quicker. So Chaos Lord Lahorak has disembarked from his Rhino, ready to start trying to take these tanks on with his command squad. They need to halt the advance, so that way these tanks do not move off the board. The Chaos Space Marine squad as well has disembarked, ready to pop some melter shots into the Vanquisher, and then hopefully eradicate the rest of these Tallarn troopers. Over here as well, we don't have much left. We're going to try and hold these tanks up, but I don't know how we're going to do it. Some of the Rhinos will have to charge, but there'll just be lots of disembarking and driving, I reckon. So, or disengaging from combat and driving off towards the edge. The Vindicator is ready and willing, even though he's highly damaged. He's going to be needing 5s to hit this turn by the looks of it. But he will try and kill this tank. Wish the Red Corsairs luck. Okay, Melter Gun stripped 6 wounds off the Vanquisher, but still not enough. These tanks will still be flooring it out of here in the next turn if we don't do anything drastic. Moving over as well, the Vindicator did absolutely nothing. Even with the last command point being used, still rolled that terrible 1. So now we're about to move on to the Red Corsairs combat phase. Death and destruction, death and destruction. So the Tallarn Desert Raiders, the last of the infantry, have finally succumbed to the Chaos Marines' attacks. And over here, Lahorak with his chosen champion with the Power Fist managed to knock out the tank as well. So it's not looking too good at the moment for the Tallarn Desert Raiders. In their 5th turn, can they get off the board? Let's see what they do.
Astra Militarum turn 5. This is quite a short one because there's not much left. So the Vanquisher tank decided to sell its soul and try and hold out against the Vindicator, but unfortunately failed. Scratched 1 wound off it, but unfortunately the Vindicator's got 1 wound left. The 2 Hydras screamed up the table, decided to floor it, but unfortunately they didn't use the right Prometheum in this tank, and they stalled at the very end. Unlucky. And as for the final tank at this edge, he got to the near end and got to this very edge there. So as you can see, there's the edge. There's my finger. Yeah. All good. Unfortunately, there was no combat in this turn. We rolled to see if the game continued, and I rolled a 2. So the game was over. Leigh was victorious in the insidious... jerks anyway. The Red Corsairs. So therefore, they take out the victory for this round.
Yes, and something will happen in the next game. What will happen? Will there be a rescue mission for the Major? We shall see.
Time will tell. Thanks again for watching, guys. Have a good one.